Interesting. And you mentioned while in medical school, you're just like bumping into like super sharp people. Was there anyone specifically that like had a outsized impact on you or perhaps maybe even took you under their wing? Um, did you have that kind of experience?
I would highlight one professor. However, it was totally in the opposite way.
Oh,
So uh, I think I can definitely even recently we got reconnect, and really it was very interesting. I really think he has a huge influence and quote unquote to my life. This is Professor Chen. He was the first physician or the oncologist or hematology oncologist. That was the discipline I was in. I was trained to be a hematologist, so oncology in the hem-op discipline. Uh, he was the first one did the bone marrow transplantation successfully in Taiwan. This is back to really
yeah,
the,
yeah.
and so I was thinking, oh, that's so cool, right? So I signed myself up on his team. And since I was really only the fourth year, yeah, that was the fourth year in medical school, he's just treat me almost like a intern and resident. He has that thing. And then we go to, do the bone marrow extraction from patient.
Oof.
I don't know, yeah, it's a horrible
Ooh,
thing
horrible.
because that is the thing you cannot anesthetize the patient. So but anyhow, do the cell culture, trying to do this really fast forward today's autologous transplant and everything. So it was that advanced. This is back to almost like 30 plus years ago. So very profound about creative thinking and the way different from the treatment of just typical bone marrow transplantation. So the reason why I highlight him, and I say in the opposite way, because he's such a successful doctor, and then he also is the one like you will be a doctor because he praised me many things. Consider I have this whole he say this insight or the sense about being a doctor, right? Because like I remember he always say like a good doctor is then when your patient walk in, you know what kind of medicine you need to prescribe already. You don't need to like take you too long, like that good sense. But why I say it's the opposite way, because he's so successful, so good, and he was like, because I have all those questions, you can imagine, not just about how to treat patient, as well as the fundamental, as I was in the lab and things like that. Try to find some way that connection, and then he allowed me to observe him or shadow him many, not just me, I mean, many of us like in the younger generation. So the more I observe, the more I kind of have this inside question. And now we talk about this way, right? I say I always have this thing about on the surface, I can do whatever people expect me to do very well. And then inside of me, like, is this really the best thing you can possibly do? And that has been burning in my heart about I see again you have to consider even in US for 30 plus years ago the many not many solutions, so most of the cancer is just that's the death sentence. So basically we just have to tell patient how to cope with this, the family to cope with this. And I really do not think for Judy give up my dream being a physics, being the super creative person and being shake the ground, make a difference. And I'm there just to tell people their fate. So that is very hard for me to take. And then, but he's so successful, right?
Yeah.
So that's a problem. I feel like if one day I'm being successful, is that what I want to be? So that's why I say it having this profound, extreme influence on me about, because if I'm just with a so-so doctor who I don't think is just too creative or too innovative, and that's probably one thing like, oh, I'll just be better than you are. But like I feel like if somebody I admire so much, and this is the best he can possibly do, I question is that what I really want to be? But really the heartbroken part was the one I think that's probably the last bit about this, and allow me to share that story because this was a patient in this acute leukemia, and she's just about to die. And then again, Professor Chen has this nice thought about we need to collect some blood sample because those when you have to collect the blood when it's fresh, and then we can do the research someday to figure out something. Um, I was the one always like a volunteer to do all those things to take those sample and see if any research we can do. I went to that. This was in the emergency room because she's just about to pass away. And I got there with my white robe on, right? So then next to this patient is her son, who's just about 9, 10 years old. And then she's already in coma. And we know there's nothing we can do to save her life back. And I was just there to withdraw some blood sample, and hopefully one day we can make a difference. But broke my heart was then this young boy was trying to wake his mom up to be able to allow me to draw the blood because you probably know, I mean, when the patient is left in coma, it's extremely difficult to get this blood sample out of her. And this young boy was trying to woke his mom up, saying, Mom, doctor is here trying to save you. Wake up. That was hard. I know I wasn't able to save her life. And then this young boy just with this hope, trying to wake his mom up. I did get the blood sample, and I always think about this. This was from the emergency room, walk back to the lab. That was the longest walk in my life.
Holy crap.
And I was thinking, I still remember the patient's the case number. I just tried to remember the number, and I told myself, somebody need to figure out what is exactly in her blood, what is exactly the reason she will never wake up, and what is the reason I can truly fulfill this young boy's dream about save his mom. Right? And I don't think it was continuing doing as a medical doctor and continuing have the limited tools I don't have. And that was the moment I say, this is it. I'm going to just finish the degree as we just talked about. I am always be able to do whatever meets the expectation, get that box check, and then I'm going to move on. I have to do something else. Otherwise, I will have this very tough place to feel I can find peace of myself. And the reason why I say Professor Chen, to your original question, has this influence in me up to that day was negative, right? Because I almost like, I don't want to be you. I want to be somebody else doing more. But like I say, recently we reconnect. I think if it wasn't him being so excellent and smart and everything, and push me, and also push me, right? Because I was in clinics with him almost every day, and study case almost every day, and look at a sample almost every day to that extreme. I wouldn't realize that limit. I wouldn't realize something else I want to do. Yeah, so I think that was a very interesting experience because if I were be in an environment like today's medical school in US and maybe also in Taiwan, so creative and mixing everything, I wouldn't be so determined and so goal-oriented about this is the rest of my life I'm going to do. I'm going to make a difference. I want to bring back to the patient the solution, but not just treat one patient at a time.